The sky is falling!
Here we go. We're starting it with the sky is falling. Oh, boy. It's a Sunday. It's a matinee. The sun is shining, people. Literally. You can see it outside the studio. But let's get going. Stars Pregame Show. Luds, me, Ryan, and all of you right now on DLLS.
Listen to this one, motherfucker.
Hey, everybody. It is Sunday. It is just after 12:16 as we get you ready for in Central Time. Stars versus the Montreal Canadiens. This is the DLLS Stars Pregame Show. Craig Ludwig, Ryan Vaughters, our producer. I'm Owen Newkirk. No Sam nor Sean today, so it's just the two of us, but we got you covered. Before we get into everything, Stars and Canadiens, let's talk about hats and shirts, but particularly hats. These are the new hat styles that are available on the All DLS website.
I got my two hats, by the way.
Did you?
That we ordered?
The second ones.
Second ones came.
The new batch.
Oh, yeah.
And
It came 3 days ago.
You like them?
They're great.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome.
There you go.
CJ's happy. He's getting
Luds
his hat.
endorsed.
He's getting his Christmas present.
There. I love it.
After his twins stole the other two.
All right, let's get to the lineup first because the Stars haven't played for a couple of days. They get the advantage today. We'll talk about Montreal a little bit later in the pregame show. But they've had 2 days off. Montreal played yesterday. Stars had a day off on Friday. I'm trying to remember what day it is because they played a back-to-back going to Chicago. And then they practiced yesterday in lieu of no morning skate today. And so we know a couple of things. One is no Casey DeSmith. He was granted a leave of absence to attend to a personal family matter. That's all we know. We don't know any more. There's no speculation there. So Casey DeSmith will not be dressed or available today. The team did say that he expects to meet them in Carolina. So on Tuesday, their next game, which is they have a back-to-back at Carolina and at Washington, we could see DeSmith as the backup on Tuesday or maybe for the game against the Capitals the next night. Remy Poirier called up. He will be the backup today for Jake Oettinger, who gets the start in goal. As you take a look at the defense and goaltending for the Stars today, no expected changes of the back end. And Luds, we played this clip the other day, but Gully said he's trying to maybe infuse a little consistency in the lineup. And I think he's talking specifically about those six.
Yeah, I think it's been musical chairs for 20 games or so, in there. And I think he's been, but I do believe that he's probably had a date circled on the calendar, more of the game to where we're going to play around with some things and we're going to get an idea how this guy plays with those two guys and vice versa and all that kind of stuff. And I think now we have an idea. So I know they have an idea who can play where, who can play up, who maybe should be in the third, in the middle six, bottom six, whatever it may be. And now you're getting, again, I say that there's a certain date. And the hardest games for me were always, and I think for a lot, are games 40 through 60. And because that part is behind you, the tinkering is kind of there. Now we want to get to the playoffs. You want to get to the last 20 games where you're focusing on that. And so I think it's similar in the coaching and the lines is, okay, we know where people fit now. Now let's get it to where there's a consistent diet of this as much as you can. Guys that play. I don't believe it's going to be like that because I think that's Gully. I think that's a lot of coaches. They see things that don't work, but now they know, let's go to him. Yeah. Let's move him there for this period or whatever it may. So I think that date is there. That date is here as far as let's get some consistency for these guys. And now here's my line. Here's my D partner.
Well, the forwards, there will be a change because Adam Ernie is going to play today and Colin Blackwell will be a healthy scratch. That's the one change. Other than, as you can see, they practiced like this yesterday, and it looks like they're going to start with, and maybe this is because they're at home, Luds, and they can dictate the matchups a little bit more, but they're going to start with Matt Duchene playing up with Wyatt Johnston and Mikko Rantanen, and Sam Steele drops down and plays with Ritzkovian and Ben. Ernie in for Blackwell with Fox on back. And here's the thing. It still doesn't solve the issues of Matt Duchene seems more comfortable playing in the middle. He's said it himself. You've mentioned watching him play, having the freedom to get the puck more, whereas wingers tend not to have as much of the puck. But I also think he has to play with very talented players. Not saying that Ben or Ritskovian isn't, but Mikko Rantanen right now is in another level.
What'll be interesting to me is to see how much he shares the middle of the ice with Wyatt.
Yeah.
Because he's just naturally going to gravitate there. There's more room. There's more space. Go both ways. But I do think that Wyatt's the kind of guy that will read that. And if Matt starts to drift there with the puck, he will probably interchange with him. And I think they'll play off of each other. But Matt, to me, is going to be more – he's there. Because if you're playing with, say, Rantanen, right, he stays on his wing. He's an off-wing guy. He generally stays there. That's where he does his best work. So that's a read. I think it's going to end up being more on the young kid. To be honest with you, I think it's like Wyatt. If I see Matt coming over here, I know he likes to be there, and I'm okay. I can go over there to my offside. Now all of a sudden for Duchene, he ends up having two guys on their off wings, which is in a shooting position. That might work well.
Well, considering Rantanen likes to pass and Duchene likes to pass, Wyatt
might get a lot of pucks.
He's got to be the shooter, doesn't he?
Yeah, somebody does. I mean, generally you want two of those guys to be shooters. I think that if Matt's going to be over there, and if that's what it's going to be, he has to mentally become more of a shooter. We can't delay and curl back all the time, because I don't know of those other two guys which one are going to be the Tyler Seguin. Tyler was so good at reading Matt when he comes in, be able to come in behind, or they could read off each other. So somebody's going to have to read. The other two guys are fine when they have the puck. But I think when Matt has the puck, knowing the kind of game he likes to play, somebody's going to have to be. And that Lake guy, maybe it's going to be a defenseman. Maybe it's the Thomas Harley that jumps up in there of that pair. Maybe it's the Miro of that pair that jumps up there, because now you've got two guys on the wings as far as defensemen are concerned. If Rantanen's got it, I want the lefty, if he can, to kind of get in there and find a hole.
Well, the first time since November the 8th, the Dallas Stars wake up not in second place in the Central Division. Now, in most divisions with their record, they'd be leading. But because the Avalanche are on a murderer's pace, and that may not change the rest of the way because they seem to be on a mission, they've been in second since they got their act together. Remember, Dallas won their first 3 games of the year, then lost. They went on a 4-game winless run, which they've matched. It was middle of October. They lost 4. They went 0-3-1. Then they went on a tear, and they got themselves into a playoff spot and into second division. They haven't relinquished it until Minnesota got an overtime point, losing against the LA Kings last night in the extra session. And that, although they've played 2 more games than Dallas, has put the Wild 1 point ahead of the Stars. So let's take a look at the comparison, Leds. The last 4 games where they are 0-2-2 versus the 4 games that they won previous to that. So this is 8 games mashed together. 4-2-2 is not bad if you put them all together, but you can see some clear statistical differences of the winning streak versus the winless streak.
Well, I think anytime you're on a losing streak, no matter who you are, whether you're sitting at the top of the league, the middle of the league, or the bottom of the league, if you're losing 4 or 5 games in a row, your numbers are always going to be worse. So, for me, the other one on here I noticed this morning, I guess, Gully's, again, early presser, about 1% more. They've dropped 25th in the league as far as hits goes from the physicality standpoint. I look at how they're playing and some of the teams that they're not collecting points against, because even the overtime, losses, so to speak. They're not all. Half of those teams are 50% down, right? And I just wonder. It's a combination of things. Again, you've made a lap around the league for the most part. You've been playing for 41 games. The word is out. You're a really damn good team, and you're a very skilled team, and you can pass the puck. Well, they're going to play differently against you. They don't want to be embarrassed. And so we're seeing that happen. It happens to all teams, not just this team. And, I think a little bit of they're still trying to continue to pass pucks into the net. And I believe that it kind of trickles on down to the guys that should be more direct. We talked about this a couple games ago. And
Gully agreed with you.
That's right. He did.
He did.
You'd think we had a conversation.
You think so?
You'd think that. Anyway, we didn't. But what happened? And again, good on Sam Steele and Colin Blackwell getting a chance. They're 2 guys. I know Blackie's not in the lineup again tonight, and I'm sure that's tough on him. But he's a digger. He keeps on going.
Yep.
But there's times when those, not just those two, the other bottom six, whatever you want to call them, I would want them to make more directness and spend more time and create more havoc in front of the net. But they start to play like the top guys. And right now, top guys need to start playing like the bottom six. They need to put a little bit of that into the game, a little more FU in your game to be harder to play against, because if you want to stay on the perimeter, that's where you're going to stay, is on the perimeter.
It's funny you say that, because I was watching, we had the day off yesterday. We're a rare Saturday without a game, and I'm watching Pittsburgh-Detroit. It was an afternoon game that ESPN was airing, and Mark Messier, I believe it was post-game, but it might have been between periods. I can't remember when. Had them put together a montage of Sidney Crosby, the checking winger. Mm-hmm. And you've said this for a long, long time. He's a generational talent that plays like a third liner. And the montage the video package that Messier was breaking down was all about Crosby getting in on the forecheck, hunting pucks, checking a guy against the half wall, getting back as the first guy after being the first guy in the zone, and how hard he plays. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, hey, look at the skill. We all know he has incredible talent. It was how hard he's playing.
I think he's got a tattoo that says "will before skill."
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems, because again, like you said, he's a superstar that plays like a third liner. He does all the little detail, and it's the reason the rest of that group. He's their captain, obviously, and one of the best players to ever play the game. But he leads the way of playing along the walls in front of the net, and he's not going to go out and fight guys. Well, he's had a couple fights, but
not many.
That's not what he does. He just shows you that if you put the hard work in all areas of the rink, you're going to get rewarded. Not only that, he's on pace for 45, 48 goals, whether he gets there or not. But I think what he does is he drags everybody else into that fight. He's a true leader.
All right, well, we are going to talk about some Olympic stuff here, and we may have to carry this over, but let's start with the obvious. Jason Robertson did not get picked for Team USA for the Olympics. We were, on Friday, we did an emergency pod. I think I literally dragged myself out of bed, and you could see me yawning and bleary-eyed just to do the conversation with Luds. And we went on for about almost 40 minutes because there's a lot to talk about. Well, Jason yesterday after practice attended media, and here's his response to not being picked for Team USA.
Yeah, I thought that this year was different than last year. Obviously, last year I didn't think I was good enough. Now I think I did, and it's their choice and their decision, and that's it.
So...
Was that it?
That was it. That's the cool.
I
have a longer.
We had a technical difficulty.
No, I know, I did too. There was a quick free. I have another clip that I want you to hear about, but it's not easy for him to deal with that. I'm sure he's upset by it, and I was at least encouraged that we saw that he looked better against the Blackhawks on New Year's Day than on New Year's Eve against Buffalo when he found out the news that had to have affected him.
Yeah, his body language wasn't good in that. And again, understandable. I mean, he's done everything I think he feels that he could to make the decision for U.S. to go his way. It didn't. And I'm sure that since that day that he was not announced, I guess you'd call it, he was dreading this interview with his own reporters, because what's coming. They didn't have a chance, and so they had a chance yesterday. Was that yesterday, I guess?
That was yesterday. Yeah, correct.
So they had a chance to finally talk to him. And from what you showed me, a little bit you showed me, I'm thinking, man, they're not letting him go. You can tell when a guy just doesn't want to talk anymore. Yep. But that's not a reporter's job. So, but yeah, I'm sure he wanted to just get that over with, the interview. And there were a couple answers I told you that I wasn't crazy about. But listen, that's Robo, and in his opinion, he's done everything that he could. And you just hope that. Well, maybe I shouldn't say you just hope, but maybe he just hopes, or somebody just hopes, that something big happens in a negative way for U.S., where, especially if they lose a game in a shootout or something like that. You know what I mean? Because he's one of the best in the game at it. Just for that and your goal scoring ability, you would think, even if you're the 14th forward, the third, you know what I'm saying? Like, just to have that guy there.
Well, there's a very big demarcation line between schools of thought.
No idea what that means.
There is a gap.
Okay. Well, why did you just say gap?
Because I like
demarcation.
So, Luds, I had a spirited discussion with our buddy Brent Severin on Friday about him not being picked. And I, of course, was arguing that I think Robo should be on. And where Sevy is on it.
I'm probably in Sevy's camp.
Yeah, you probably are.
Yeah.
And he adamantly, we'll save some of that for later. But
Did you guys video that thing?
No, this was just
us. Have audio?
This was just us talking before we were going to skate, right? Yeah, I got back on the ice. It'd been a while. I was a little rusty. But anyway, there are plenty of people, and you might be one of them, who doesn't like Jason Robertson's game.
Oh, I don't go as far as not that I don't like Jason Robertson's game. I wish he would add a little more to it. And it again, there's a lot of people that go, wait a second, like what this kid's supposed to do is score goals, and he does it, and he does it. He's one of the best at doing it. I think a lot of this is got to do with the length of this event. It's a short event. It's a short tournament, and again, you do, whether Bill Guerin and Doug Armstrong say, no, we don't care about U.S., we don't care about Canada. They're putting teams together that they know the kind of games those are going to be, especially with the size of the rink that they're talking about now. Guys are going to be closer together, and you're going to be able, you want the team that can push the other team out of the fight as soon as possible. And so would that be an area that Jason Robertson is high on his list? Probably not. And that's probably what the concern would be. But again, you expect that the game is going to be when they play the U.S. or even the Finns. You know, it's going to be more like the Four Nations thing. Remember that Canada-U.S. game? That was a preview of probably how, when these two teams do meet, if they meet, what it's going to be like. And you want those warriors. There's a reason Canada went out and got, not only doesn't he deserves it, Tom Wilson. Like, if there was an American Tom Wilson, I guarantee he'd be on the U.S. team.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's not a Tom Wilson.
Not exactly. You could argue that there's a little bit of that in the Kachuk's game. But all right, let's hear from Gully next. After the break, what Gully had to say about Robo not making the team as we get you ready for Stars Canadiens. We're going to talk more about Montreal in a minute here on the DLLS Stars Pregame Show.
Right here. There's a reason I have this on today, because I think this is his day.
There's always a reason.
I know. But
I want people to know he does not just grab the first shirt he finds. You, like George Costanza, dress by mood.
Is that right?
I think so.
Okay. Well, I think today is the captain's day. And I was telling Ryan when I got here, I was driving here and I'm like, I don't even know what Jamie's done against Montreal in his career. So I says to Siri, as I'm driving, Siri, how many points has Jamie Benn got in his career, blah, blah, blah.
And
you know what Siri said to me?
What did Siri say?
Pull over. Pull over. Or no, stop your car and I'll give you that answer or something like. Yeah. So I just had to Google it as I was driving.
Did you have to yell at Siri?
Anyway, he's a point per game guy. He's 21 points in 22 games over his career, according to Siri. So
10 goals, 11 assists.
Yeah. So anyway, but I think that Jamie's been quiet. I think this is an afternoon game. He's going to wake his team up. So I believe that Jamie Benn will have a good game, whether he's going to score a goal or not. But I think he's going to stir the pot and run a couple guys over. Afternoon game. When you win afternoon games, it's a lot more, you're more comfortable having them beers at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Jamie had
By the way, I was drinking Coors Banquet last night. If anybody's had
By the way, this is all about buying the shirts.
Hey, Coors.
So all
DLS.com.
DLS.com.
Don't forget about these shirts. If you get a Coors Banquet and
we just rolled right back into the pregame show, didn't we?
Anyway, I talked enough about Jamie.
YouTube Supporters Club very quickly, and then we'll get back into talking about the captain and the Canadiens.
And Coors Banquet beer.
The true sicko level stuff here. As you want to be involved in the chat live, Burned Oils currently has one, and so does Stars Fan 9196. I'm just skimming through this. Seth does not, but has been texting a fair amount.
These people are all up right now?
Oh, yeah. We got lots of people up right now. Big Dad Russ has got the SC
Anybody
badge.
say anything about Coors Banquet beer on?
Not yet, but you can certainly ask about that. And you get emojis. It is a fun way to stand out. As you can see, I can catch you very quickly in the chat if we're looking at it. So go to YouTube and sign up to be a Supporters Club member. In addition to being a diehard, we appreciate your support. All right, lads, let's hear from Glenn Gullitson. Here's what Gully had to say, and I thought it was appropriate. We were just talking about Jeff Blashill's response to Connor Bedard on New Year's Day. Chicago, Bedard doesn't get picked for Canada. Blashill stands up for his guy. Well, Gully heard it too.
I was. You know, I just thought, obviously, he's He's our player and our guy, and you're hoping for him. And, you know, there's not one coach of the 32 of us that doesn't think their guy should be on the team. There's not one of us in the league. So, you know, I heard the comments on in Chicago with just the other night, and I think the same thing. I think, you know, would have loved to see him on it. I think he's been so good for us that I'd hate to be making those decisions, but I thought, you know, obviously he should be on it.
He only wants to say the same thing I want to say. Let's just move on. It's done, but it's not done. He still has an opportunity to be on that team.
He does.
Somebody's going to get hurt. And I'm not saying that, you know, I got my Ouija doll out, or Woogie doll, or whatever they're called. What do you call them, little dolls?
Voodoo doll.
Oh, voodoo doll.
Close.
What's the Ouija doll? Oh, that's the board. The Ouija
That's the board, yes.
Well, I got a doll sitting on a Ouija board at home, so that's what I get.
Wow, voodoo doll on a Ouija board.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, actually, Kim has that. And it's got my head on it. So, and there's lots of pins stuck in it. But anyway, yeah, it's not. I mean, there's going to be injuries. I mean, that's just kind of what happens. And if not, then God bless him. But is he going to be the first guy? Maybe that doesn't change. Again, it's Bill Guerin and whoever else is on.
I don't know if he
maybe
will.
they don't. Well, again, don't think that you're not paying attention to things that are being said in the way you play. They want to know that. They want to see how you react to things, and that's going to carry over down the road too.
I'm glad you said that. Here's Robo's other
I'm
clip.
just playing right into whatever you got going on.
You're just knocking my sets down. So let's do that. Here's Robo on his motivation this season, not just on trying to make the U.S. Olympic team.
Yeah, I don't think it's any motivation. I'd say last year's motivation. This year, I'm just playing hockey, right? And I don't need really that motivation. I have it within the team, within the group. I mean, I have a lot of people in the support staff and everything. So, you know, is what it is. I'm not motivated by it. I mean, obviously, it hurts your ego, but I'm not going to change the way I play, and happy to keep doing what I'm doing.
Hurts the ego.
Yeah, of course. I mean, when you rattled it all off the other day about being the number one American player and goals and all that kind of stuff, of course it does. And I'm sure he felt he flipped the switch at whatever point it was, and he was on fire.
It was early December. It was right before the Christmas break a year ago.
Yeah.
Because remember, he was hurt. He had the surgery. He had a horrible start to the year. And you know, it's interesting you say this because as you listen to it, not making the Four Nations roster hurt him because he had a bad start. If Robo started last season like he has this season with, 24, 25 goals, he probably makes the Four Nations roster. And if he makes that, then they get to know him.
If he would have played well in Four Nations.
And then have a chance. He could very
they
well.
will base it off of the Team Canada game that they played.
That's
when
right.
They played Canada, because there were some players, and you mentioned a couple that disappeared.
And they still made this roster.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't totally agree with that. But again, I don't know, and I hope Robo's there. Because there's guys like JT Miller that are injured, not even playing right now. You know, there's like 3 or 4 guys there. I know one defenseman, 1 or 2 forwards. Anyway, so yeah, I guess they've gotten good reports from their doctors and their staff that they're going to be totally fine.
We'll find out.
Is there going to be any rust? How many games are they going to get NHL games in before they go over there?
And now that the rosters have been officially announced, every time a player goes down with something, even if it's a minor injury, everybody's going to be on high alert because of it. Hey, one of the guys on the team got injured. How long is it going to be? Who's up next? We're going to hear this for the next 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah.
All right. I have a couple clips for Jake Oettinger that we're going to have to save till tomorrow because
Otter's
going to play today, but he also spoke about making the Olympic team and his approach to as he battles for the USA net. And I think we can have a conversation about that on our daily show tomorrow. But I'd like you to hear Miro Heiskanen, Luds, from practice yesterday. They were asking about the winless run.
How's his stick doing? Is his stick okay?
Oh, his stick is okay, but the glass has seen better days. But here's what Miro had to say about what they have to clean up defensively.
Yeah, I mean, just like overall have to, defense better and, take care of the puck better. I think we have been turning it over a lot and, giving too many chances to opponents. So I think we have to clean up those and should be good.
Turning it over a lot, Luds.
But turning it over has a lot to do with the way the opponent is playing. The things that you were able to do as a team for the first 15, 20 games they're not available anymore because teams know who you are. That's what I mean. They're playing you differently. Their scheme, the way that they want to play when they don't have the puck is different. They're not going to let you move the puck through the middle of the ice like you like to all the time. They're going to finish checks on you more. You're going to be turning your head and wondering who's coming next because they circle the guys that drive the bus. And it's Rantanen. And right now, I'm thinking as far as Mikko goes, they're probably saying, you know what, get under this guy's skin. He'll take a bad penalty. And so there's all these little characteristics that they're going to kind of circle and say, this is what will get him off his game. And so if it's a system thing, individual thing, half of the season's gone. They're starting to see all this stuff.
Okay, let's go to Montreal for a minute because
I'd like to go there for a weekend.
Luds, it's not going to be Jakub Dobes.
Oh,
it's going to be Samuel Montembeault.
He's a big boy.
With Fowler backing him up. Now, Montembeault's had some good games against the Stars before, but it's interesting because they're stuck in this 3-goalie rotation and a situation where the guys that they probably want to keep on the NHL roster are not necessarily the ones that I think they would like to send Montembeault down. He hasn't played well, but he makes the most, and they might honestly lose him if they put him on waivers. But they're going to go with Montembeault today as they try to figure out Dobes, Montembeault, and Jakub Fowler, the 21-year-old, who played pretty well in the loss 2-0 to the St. Louis Blues. Now, Luds, we talk a lot about the Stars.
3.4 of his last 10 games.
What? Say it again?
Goals against 3.4.
Ooh.
But Robish is 3.2. So,
Not
I mean,
great.
they flipped a coin in there.
So look at this tweet that we saw from yesterday. It was from Mark Dumont, who wrote this. The one thing that the Habs can't seem to shake, along with complete lack of discipline, is playing down/up to their opponents. They'll put together a Herculean effort versus top teams and then sleepwalk their way into games versus struggling clubs. And this was in reference to yesterday's loss against the St. Louis Blues. They played yesterday afternoon.
That should be on the board in Stars room.
Wouldn't you think so?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's called bulletin board material.
Isn't that the thing we hear about the Stars, right? I think it's really, really hard, even for good teams, to have the same effort, not effort, but that drive every single night. You talked about the dog days. Look, if the Tampa Bay Lightning come in here or the Florida Panthers and you've got a history there, or the Avalanche or the Wild, that's easy. But we were playing, and they thumped Montreal 7-0 up there at the Bell Center.
They embarrassed them.
And they know, Luds, that Montreal played yesterday. Dallas has had 2 days off. They should be by far the more rested team.
Yeah, but I think that there's a kid over there too that might be motivated by the name of Caulfield. I think that's
why we put him on the thumbnail today.
So he's got 3-4. He's got 7 points in his last 10 games. But there's a couple guys over here that is their highest pick that got 5 goals, 7 assists in his last 10 games.
Is that Slafkovsky?
Slafkovsky.
Yeah. That's good. That's
they've
pretty
got
good.
A couple of young kids that are rolling over there. So don't go in here because they played a game last night and think you're going to get through the first 5 minutes. Let's just weather the storm. We know how they're going to come out early, and the power play, their power play can fly around too. So
listen to this, Luds. Montreal's coming off this is the last game of 5 games on the road since the Christmas break, but they played 2 road games before, so it's 7 straight games. They haven't had a home game since December 20th. But listen to this. After the St. Louis game snapped a 7-game point streak. They were 5-0-2 in their previous 7 games, and they outscored their opponents 31-19. That's a plus 19 goal differential. And here's the crazy thing is their power play is under 20%. Their penalty kill during the streak is 76%. They have the second most 5-on-5 goals in the NHL from that span, 21. By the way, the Stars not far off. They have 19, but Montreal is putting up goals, except for against St. Louis, and they can hurt you offensively at 5-on-5.
They've got a they've got the perfect coach there. And I was one of the guys a year or so ago, 2 years ago, thought that Marty was going to step down because things were going so bad. I'm talking about St. Louis, but I think they've got a great coach there, and I think he can motivate them. He's about the height of some of them. So he's a little guy that plays
like
a
Sam.
big game. Yeah, like Sam.
Like Sam.
But he's healthier than Sam.
Yeah, he is. He's here today. Take a look at the lineup real quick. Okay, start with the forwards for Montreal. And Oliver Kapanen moves up to that second line. Now, look, The one thing that Montreal is struggling with right now, Luds, is injuries because they are missing some key players. And we're talking about, of course, Caden Gooley has been out for that torn abductor muscle, but Laine's been out for a long time. Kirby Doc, Alex Newhook broke his ankle against the Stars when they were in Montreal. Now Jake Evans and Josh Anderson out of the lineup. So they're missing a bunch down the middle. And so then there's this kid that makes the Finnish Olympic roster, Kapanen. Obviously, Caulfield doesn't make the U.S. side. And then they trade for Philip Deneau, who we both like, to try to fill the gap of those guys like Evans and Anderson that have been out of the lineup for a while.
Well, Deneau's the perfect fit for this team. Why they ever got rid of him to start with, I don't know. He is a defensive-minded kind of guy, and he's probably going to see a lot of him out there against the top two lines for the Stars. But you're right, that second line, they're the ones that have been carrying this team. They got 28 points, those three guys do in their last 10 games, and they've got a total of 5, 7. They got 11 goals in them 10. So it's a good line. The Demidov, I don't think he's going to win that Rookie of the Year award this year, but he is a special player also. And I think Slavkovsky, their first rounder of what was that, 3 years ago, whatever that.
I think it was that long ago now. Yeah.
But he was the
1-1.
And he wasn't good in the beginning, but now he's kind of come into what they expected him. So
and then look at the defense and obviously the goaltending. We thought maybe it would be Dobes, but it's going to be Montembeault. Matheson Dobson has become, it's interesting. I actually think, Luds, the addition of Dobson has allowed Layden Hudson to not have to be the focal point back there. And maybe that's hurt him a little bit because he also did not make the U.S. Olympic roster. But that is the top three, right? Hudson, Matheson, Dobson, really nothing against Carrier. What do you think about the six?
I like their top four for exactly what you said. I mean, Hudson's got something like 17 or 15 points in his last 10, so he's a little water bug and brings a lot of the offense. Dobson's fit in perfectly for him. I've always liked Matheson.
Yes.
I loved him from the beginning. I'm still having a hard time why Jack-Eye spells his name backwards, but I'll get over there someday. I mean, it's pronounced Jack-Eye, but he spells it literally backwards.
And he's one of the great nicknames in Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Stars and Canadiens for the second and final time this year, unless we make it to the Stanley Cup final, which you never know. Montreal is in a playoff spot right now. Finally, we go to a super chat. Marshall second with a Darian Hatcher in year after the Cup. Today is the day they crush these guys.
There you go.
And I think that's a great way to end. So we'll see you. Luds and I will be back here in the podcast room in our little closet for the post game. Enjoy this afternoon's broadcast game, whatever we call it.
I believe that they are going to crush these guys tonight. Matt.
We all silly like the mayor.